Hey guys, what's going on? Wanted to get in a quick video here. Again, one more time talking about sample cards. It's in less than 24 hours, we're going to be auctioning off the first exceptional rarity sample card that's been auctioned so far on the Facebook group. It's called Ice Lance by Brian Smith. So I just wanted to go back to the spreadsheet here again and touch on something I didn't touch on last time, or I did very briefly, but I expanded the spreadsheet and kind of broke it out, as you can see, by parsing out the rarity level and the type, and then taking a closer look as I was looking at the pack distribution and how many different spell cards versus atlas cards in the pack opening. I was noticing that there weren't really a lot of atlas cards pulled. So I wanted to kind of take a closer look at that and see if maybe there's something to that. And I think there is. I kind of wrote some notes about this in the Collector Art House Discord on some of the findings, but it kind of makes sense, at the aggregate level when we see the final set. I think there's considerably less Atlas cards in the set to begin with. So naturally, you would expect that there would be less in a sample print test run. And that's exactly what we find. So in aggregate of the 292 packs that we expect have been printed, there's going to be less Atlas cards or site cards in the total population. So those make them pretty rare. It's pretty interesting. They could be, because of that, potentially more rare than the ordinary or exceptionals. I'm not sure about the elites. Probably not the elites or the uniques, because there's only one per pack. But as you go through here and you kind of look at the spreadsheet, how I broke it out, you can see how there's a considerable weighting in most packs. And in fact, a lot of the packs were almost entirely spell cards. So here in pack 1, there were only 3 Atlas cards pulled. None in pack 2, none in pack 3, and so forth. A lot of them were exclusively spell cards. Let me scroll to the right here. Again, only 3 in pack 5, none in pack 6. Pack 7 was all spell cards. Pack 8, all spell cards. Pack 9, all spells. Pack 10, all spells. And then I think in the last 2 packs, this is where it got a little more interesting. So we saw 2 packs prior to this. It had 3 Atlas or site cards. In pack 11, there were 2 here and 3 here. So there were 5 total in pack 11. That was a pretty Atlas heavy pack. I kind of remember that as it was going through. And then in the last pack opening, there were 2. And it was actually a unique hit in that first slot that was the Atlas. So 2 packs, or was it 3 packs that had 3, 1 that had 5, and 1 that had 2. In aggregate, if I just cited that correctly off of memory, there were 17 total Atlas cards and 162 spell cards. So pretty interesting. In a sample size of 12 packs, there were 91% spell cards, only 9% Atlas cards. And the reason why I want to touch on that is I've seen very few. I've been able to obtain very few from people looking to sell their sample cards, but we are going to have one. Is another Andrea Modesti card, the same artist that did the Spear of Destiny that did very well in auction a few weeks ago. We have one of his Atlas or site cards as a landscape style card that's going to be up for auction this Saturday in the fan page group, the Sorcery fan page and marketplace group. But tomorrow night we're going to be doing the Ice Lance, and that's a spell card, and it'll be the first exceptional that's auctioned off. So before I get to that, I wanted to try to switch views in a minute and show the Ice Lance card that will be auctioned. But I wanted to go to this pack distribution that the company put out. Something pretty interesting here. If you look at section 1, or I think this is the first slot in the pack, or depending how you open it, I'm not sure which side would open, but it says this slot contains one of the elemental sites, so a village, desert, tower, or river. That's what we mean by the Atlas or site cards. Or it'll contain a common avatar. And if you look at the 12 packs that were opened by Red Zone Rogue, there was not a single avatar pulled. So another thing I'm thinking here is that it's possible that the team decided to print the avatars in only the pre-con decks that were sent to the YouTubers. And if the company owns any, maybe they do for play testing or to keep sealed for their own collection. I have no idea. All I really know is that roughly 5 sets of precons were sent out to 5 YouTubers, as far as we know at least. I think that was pretty much confirmed. I might have included Rudy from Alpha Investments in that estimate. So nevertheless, roughly 5 sets of precons, and there's 4 precon decks. So if there's an avatar that, there's a single elemental avatar done by Severin Pinois, or Pinot in that set. So those are extremely rare if they're only in those precon decks and they're not in the sample cards. That would make them probably a Grail God tier level sample card. But beyond that, it looks like the Atlas cards could be pretty limited, as you only get it in this slot, right, in a normal deck distribution. But as we saw in the sample card printing, this isn't followed quite precisely. In that slot, we did not see avatars at all, for one, and we did not see elemental sites consistently in that slot. Not consistently at all. In some packs it was all spells. However, beyond that, it was pretty consistent. The only difference here, you see, you get 3 exceptionals at the end of the pack, and then the 4th slot is supposed to be the hit card, which would be a unique or elite. However, when the packs were open, it was slot 1 that actually had that unique or elite card, and then the 3 exceptionals. But nevertheless, the total net pulls were the same. The 1 special, unique, or elite, the 3 exceptionals, which are pretty rare, only getting 3 per pack and 292 packs. That gives you what, like 800-ish, 800 some odd exceptional cards total pop, based on 292 packs. That's pretty rare. And then you get about 10 or 11, I think it was 11, it was 11 regular ordinary slots, right? So you had the 11 ordinaries, 3 exceptionals, and then either unique or an elite, except for the 1 error pack, so to speak, that only had 14 cards in it and did not have a hit. So just want to add that tidbit about the missing avatars. Very interesting there. Trying to see if we can get an avatar to bring to auction. That would be pretty insane. They're very limited, and it'd be cool to see what the valuation is on that. And then also just the rarity of the Atlas cards, since we have them coming up this Saturday, just to give folks some idea of how many might be out there. So let me try to switch to my webcam here. I'm going to take off this display. All right, nice. So it kind of worked, and I'm kind of doing this off the cuff, so hopefully we can get a good look at this. Now this is the, let me see if this will focus a bit. Might have some issues with lighting. So this is the Ice Lance by Brian Smith. You can see his name at the bottom there. And again, the key thing to note on these sample cards is that you see that symbol with the C in the circle for the copyright. The artists own the copyright in Sorcery. So Brian Smith owns the copyright to his painting here. And that's how you see it in the sample cards, but in the official alpha release, that is going to change to an alpha symbol. So it'll be very clear that these are, move my mouse there, that these are sample cards and not the mainstream alpha set release. That'll be clearly distinguishable. But a couple things I wanted to point out, and I'm going to pull up my notes. It was pretty cool. I reached out to Brian today and asked him if he can give me some insight for a behind the art feature article that I want to put on my website. I decided to do it through video just to do this quickly. But I plan to write up an article about this card based on his insights, and I just wanted to share that with you. Brian's a really awesome guy. I talked to him a lot about all of his artwork, and I did an interview with him that's out on the website if anybody wants to check it out. But I asked him specifically about this card, what was the art direction that he got from Eric Olofsson, who is the creator and basically the art director for Sorcery Contested Realm, and how did Brian come up with this design. And what he told me is that it was kind of straightforward direction in the terms he put it, although it's pretty interesting what Eric asked for here. He said he asked for figures that were impaled on a light blue piercing lance. So I guess Brian's interpretation of that is that he says he pictured something like the impaled figures in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, but Eric wanted a large single object running through them, and with it shooting into the image. So you could see in the design here, that's what you see, right, more or less. And Brian says he came up with a big icy telephone pole running straight through their stomachs. So Brian's a pretty awesome creative guy. If you go out to, you should really follow his Facebook, and I think he's on Instagram too. I don't really use Instagram as much, but I know he posts on Facebook pretty regularly. He's creating artwork all the time, and it's kind of like all this similar type, very creative and unique style that he puts out there. So this is right in line with the big icy telephone pole piercing right through their stomachs, like they're being skewered, he says. So he says somehow the demons are still alive and in a world of pain. He only asked for a couple figures, but he threw in a few more just for fun. So that's another thing I want to point out. I'm going to try to pull this carefully out of the sleeve so we can get a better look. I see the focus isn't great. But one thing I wanted to point out here is that you see how so first of all, he said he asked for 3 figures. So 1, 2, 3. I guess I'd call that the primary 3, or maybe this other third little guy after the one that's the main focal point. And then there's a couple more he just threw on to the end. But if you look at the card mechanic, this is a really awesome thing that you could only get in a grid-based design like Sorcery, where they have, because of the grid, you can do damage across different spaces on the grid, right? So it does 5 damage, 3 damage, and 1 damage, declining left to right, just like the size of these characters. And this really shows the uniformity of the card. When you look at the anatomy of a card, it starts with Ice Lance for the title, right? So Eric asked for a blue piercing lance, and Brian called it a big icy telephone pole. So right there you have some consistency. You kind of have the blue background, the icy look of the telephone pole itself, piercing these guys, being skewered on this pole. And then when you come down to the type line text, it says exceptional. So we know it's an exceptional rarity, but exceptional magic of cold precision. Cold precision, right? So Ice Lance, cold precision. There's consistency there. And then when you look at the mechanic of the card, it says deal 5, 3, and 1 damage to a targeted minions in a line from your spellcaster. So they're in a line on the pole, they're doing damage in line on the grid, 5, 3, 1, and they're going from large to small. There's a lot of brilliant design uniformity in the way these cards are constructed. I noticed this in a lot of the cards. There's very tight correlation between the title, the type line text, and then the game mechanic itself, and of course the art illustration. They all perfectly complement each other, and it adds for a real cool, unique dynamic to this game that I've kind of seen emphasized like no other, in my experience at least. But just kind of wanted to share those tidbits. Again, the auctions for this particular sample card, the one you're looking at here, and apologize the resolution's not great there, but this card is going to be up for auction at 8 o'clock in the Sorcery Contested Realm fan page and marketplace group. So if you go out on Facebook, you'll find that group. If you haven't signed up already, please do. There's a lot more auctions coming, and also some special art commissions that I'm working with the Sorcery artists that are going to be amazing. That's really, all the work I've done to date and the passion behind this project, it kind of all culminates in this in my mind. These special projects to work with the artists is really amazing. They're going to be doing some hand embellishments on some prints, but in like a pretty non-traditional way that I think at least I had never seen before in other games. So it's going to be pretty nuanced and very limited, probably 10 copies a piece, because it's going to take considerable effort from the artists. And I'm really thankful that they were willing to do that, because it's a significant time investment, and typically their time is better spent creating new and not doing embellishments, right? They like to express new ideas and do more lucrative full-scale paintings. So I see it as kind of like a gift to the fans that they were willing to spend some time doing this, and there's a couple artists that have done it so far, and hopefully more to come. But I regress, that's kind of beside the point. I wanted to talk about the Ice Lance here. It's a beautiful looking painting. I posted it out there on the fan page group, so you can go take a look and get excited about the auction tomorrow night. It'll kick off at 8 o'clock Eastern time on Friday and continue till 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. 24-hour auction. And then immediately following that, we'll kick off the first Atlas site card from Andrea Modesti Saturday night to Sunday night. Another 24-hour. And then next week, there's going to be a big banger coming. and I'll be teasing that next week and showing that off in the fan page group and also in my Collector Art House Discord. Note that on these weekend auctions, I'm pretty attentive to the auction and allow people to bid through Discord that are not on Facebook. So look for the Collector Art House Discord or send me a message on. If you're not on Facebook, you can email me at michael.servati@gmail.com. Or, there's different ways to find me. I think I included on my website, there's contact information. So just shoot me an email. We'll make sure you get connected and you have the opportunity at these cards if you want it. So I think that's it for today, guys. Thanks for your support and watching. Please like and subscribe, and be more exciting stuff to come soon. Stay tuned for some big time announcements, and be watching the Discord announcements and the Facebook page. The next few weeks and couple of months are going to be really heating up into some super exciting things that I'm very pumped about. All right, take care, everybody. See ya.